Vive la France! Yes, well, the French have done it. Yes, hooray. You watched the earlier video, I presume, maybe. Some of you haven't, but there was the French Parliament was voting on whether to recognize Artsakh officially, that the nation of France, putting that resolution forward. And, well, let me just show you. Welcome to Sovereign Artsakh, everyone. Here I am. There's this camera. You know, the lighting isn't very good if I do this up close, but I could go back to this camera. All right, before I move on, I'm just being a goof. Share this video if you feel like it. Some of you have been doing that, and it's wonderful, and it's what this is all about, spreading the word. Share it. But subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Click that button so you'll get, and the notification bell so that you'll know when I put up new videos, so that we can spread the word that Sovereign Artsakh is the only solution to the violence happening in Armenia, Azerbaijan, Turkey, Nagorno-Karabakh, et al. All right, now back to you guys. Being a little frenetic here, but here it is. Let's just read it. French Senate adopts resolution on necessity to recognize Artsakh's independence. Vive la France. And I like this picture. If you look at it, you see there's some hands clapping here, some people applauding. This was a bunch of people knowing they did the right thing and celebrating. The French Senate adopted the resolution on the necessity to recognize the independence of Nagorno-Karabakh Republic. During the session, the members of the Senate urged the government to stand with the Armenian people and recognize the independence of Nagorno-Karabakh Republic, Artsakh. All right, so this happened. It happened. Well, look at the votes. It was adopted. 305 MPs, ministers of parliament, I think, MP. 305 voting in favor, 1 voting against, and 30 abstaining. So it's the vast majority. It's 90% of French parliament voted in favor of this. I'd hate to be that one person with their name on the record, and even those 30 that abstained. But everybody has their political reasons, and everybody has a certain bit of ignorance. And maybe they're in the pocket of Azerbaijan. Who knows? There are foreign governments that get involved with other governments and have their cronies or their paid politicians to try and influence other governments, etc. I'm not calling anybody out. I'm not saying that's the case, but why would somebody vote against, and why would anybody abstain from this obvious good thing, the right thing to do? Adjusting the camera. Sorry, everybody. We have a low budget production here. All right, so it happened. So what does that mean? Now what? Now what? Well, there's plenty more to come. But Pashinyan's happy. Look, recognition of Artsakh's independence enters into international agenda. Oh, I mean, he's happy, but he doesn't look happy. He just is acknowledging the right thing happened. This is the real short. Let's just say the decision made by the French Senate is historical. The international recognition of Artsakh enters into the international agenda, he wrote. I think that was just on Twitter or something. He's commenting, as he should, as everyone on the planet should be happy about this. And the Catholicos, I always like kind of referencing these guys. The Catholicos of Armenia welcomes French Senate's adoption of resolution to recognize Artsakh. I mean, I've been in these churches, I've sat through the services, and I love the vestments, the historic. When I walked into an Armenian church, an Armenian apostolic church for the first time, and I sat through a 2-hour service. It was like 2 hours and 15 minutes, not a word in English. And this is in California, not far from where I live. Not a word in English. At least up on the sides, they have monitors that have it all translated. And 95% of everything spoken or sung in the service is straight out of the Bible. And so I felt like I was in a time warp. I walk in, and I know that these services have been conducted pretty much like this for 1,500 years at least. I was like stepping back in time, that this is a people who have preserved the sacred word of God, right? For all this time, they've revered it. And so it was, in those 2.5 hours, I mean, 2 hours and 15 minutes, a lot of people might get bored and fall asleep. It's a foreign language. It's kind of rigid and liturgical. I was riveted the whole time. Didn't even nod off once. Seriously. So I really respect and appreciate the preservation of the sacredness of this entire culture. And this is central to the Armenian culture. Those of you who are watching this are not Armenian. This is like central to the Armenian culture. Those who understand the Armenians who understand their heritage, when they see this, it must elicit or evoke some kind of warmth inside, because this is ancient in their DNA, you might say. All right. The Holiness, His Holiness Garegian II, Supreme Patriarch of the Catholicos of all Armenians, welcomes the adoption of the resolution by the Senate of France on the necessity to recognize the Republic of Artsakh, His Holiness Garegian II said on social media. This was an important and humanitarian step on the path to the international recognition of the Artsakh people's right to free and independent life. We are delivering our blessings to the friendly France, the good people, and the factions of the Senate, the statement said. All right, good stuff. Well, there's some bad news. Bad news. Actually, the bad news is expected. But before I give you the bad news, I'm just going to remind you one more time. Pass this on. Subscribe, share, click the notification bell, comment, like. There's all kinds of stuff you need to do here on this YouTube channel before you click away. But the most important thing is sharing. The second most important thing is subscribing. And then sharing again to someone else. You can share this video with more than one person, so do it. All right, here's the bad news. I mean, it's expected. It's the bad news because there's bad guys. Azeri Parliament wants France to be ousted from OSCE, the organization or the Office of Security and, I keep forgetting what it's, Council, Cooperation of Europe. The Office or Organization of Security and Cooperation of Europe, Minsk Group, which is France, Russia, and the United States, who are the peacekeepers, the overseers. So Azeri's like, we want France taken out of this group, the Minsk Group, because of what they've done. They've voted to recognize Artsakh. So let's just read this real quick. The Parliament of Azerbaijan has called on the Aliyev administration to request the OSCE to recall France from the Minsk Group co-chairmanship. TASS reporting cited the Azeri Parliament's statement. The Azeri lawmakers are also calling on their government to revise the current political relations between Azerbaijan and France and recall the Azeri ambassador to Paris for consultations. The move comes after the French Senate adopted the resolution on November 25th, calling on the French government to recognize Artsakh as an independent country. And I get it. I mean, that's a foregone conclusion that they would do this because their stance is that Artsakh belongs to Azerbaijan, and then France is saying, wait, you're siding with the Armenians over the Azerbaijan's claim to this land, and so France, you're out of line, etc. But I think this, well, first of all, and lastly in this segment, is the Senate passed the resolution. Now it's in Macron's lap. And by the time you watch this, maybe Macron will have made it official. It's Macron. There's still a step to take here. It doesn't mean France has recognized Artsakh's independence yet. It has to be made official by the prime minister. Or is Macron a prime minister or a president? I don't know. I get confused. But so that step still has to happen. And when it happens, I think the dominoes are going to fall. Uruguay is already moving on it. The United States has to do it. Russia has to do it. The European Union has to do it. It has to happen. All right. But you expect the Azerbaijanis to be opposed to it because the Azerbaijanis are the aggressors. The Turks and the Azerbaijanis are trying to take this land and eliminate and massacre all the Armenians. They want to destroy, you know what they want to destroy? They want to destroy this guy. They would string this guy up. They would shave his beard in shame, and then they would cut his guts out. I'm telling you, that's what some of these militants on the ground that are attacking innocent Armenians, they would take an old man like this who's lived his entire life. Why am I looking at that camera? They would take an old man like this who's lived his entire life just to serve God and his people, and they would shame him. And they would take all of these sacred implements, the cross, they would crush them, they would desecrate them, they would show no respect for the sacred. They've desecrated cemeteries and graves of soldiers. It's just evil in the hearts. All right, I don't need to persuade you, but I do need to persuade you to share this video.